Playoffs are here, no better time. David Brown, Jason Andera, it is Varsity Sports Live. We have a lot of stuff in the show, if I may say so myself.
We are packed, and as exciting as North Dakota was tonight in their big class action, I think South Dakota can match it. We had a lot of great matchups down here as well.
Yeah, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to the highlights. All of South Dakota stuff happening on Thursday. 11 AAA quarterfinals. Number 8 Sioux Falls, Washington. Number 1 Sioux Falls, Jefferson. You saw it right here on Midco Sports. Nelson Wright, the short scamper for an early 7-0 Cavalier lead. Running game not limited to the backfield, however. Check out Talon Ashley, Jandy.
This looks like 2021 Talon Ashley. I love what his dad said. He doesn't look too small on this run. This guy can play the game.
50 yards to Pater, 14-0. 21-0 when Washington finally hits a big play. Tommy Hoffman, the Trey Otten, takes the slant, takes it the distance.
Yeah, this is something that Trey Otten has done very well, especially in the second half of the season. He's really gotten in sync with this quarterback, Tommy Hoffman.
That made it 21-7, but that's as close as the Warriors would get. Late in the half, Ashley up top. Robert Hutchinson coming on down. Remember, no Griffin Wilde for Sioux Falls Jefferson, but Hutchinson more than capable. 3
touchdowns last week for Hutch. This week, another big week. He is definitely a primetime performer.
28-7 at the half. Nelson Wright keeps it on the ground, his second touchdown of the ball game. 35-7 at that point. 42-7 is your final. Wright, 23 carries, 161 on the ground. And afterwards, head coach Vince Benedetto, quarterback Talon Ashley discussed winning the battle up front and watching Wright make those defenders look wrong.
We start with the run when we game plan. Running the ball is huge for our pass game, and it did open up a lot of things outside for us. And we have a lot of faith in their offensive line. We have a really good offensive line coach with Doug Cordell, and we're proud of those guys up front.
It's crazy to watch him, especially in the backfield. I hand him the ball, I get to see the perfect view of him just reading the hole, finding holes that I didn't even know existed, and then he got the speed, so he just bursts right through and just gains. Makes a 2-yard gain, a 15-yard gain just on his speed and his athleticism.
Second part of the doubleheader at Howard Wood Field. Number 5, Brandon Valley. Number 4, Sioux Falls Lincoln. After a Lynx 3-and-out, Pats go up-tempo down the field. End it with that Draven Hodge, touchdown run. 7-0 Lincoln. Lynx come right back down. Delvon Spears-Whitty plunging into the end zone to tie things up at 7. But, Jandy, that Lincoln offense could not be stopped. Schaefer on the run. Beautiful throw to Trent Peterson.
He is such a nice ball. Last week threw for 5 touchdowns. This night, 4 touchdowns. Tate Schaefer taking his game up a notch.
On the move again. He almost runs into a sack, but fires a strike to Isaac Jarofsky. That made it 21-7 in the third quarter. Schaefer continues to utilize all of his weapons. Sam Hindbjorgen splits the elevator of that Brandon Valley defense and finds his way to Paters.
That's a big boy going in for touchdowns. When you have that kind of weapon on the outside and that kind of weapon on the inside, watch out.
Lynx tried to keep it close. Spears-Whitty with his second touchdown. That cut it to 28-17, but 11 is as close as the Lynx would get. Schaefer, quick screen to Jack Smith. Watch the speed of Smith.
I mean, this guy makes the catches. He's kind of the Cooper Kupp. He's got 72 receptions coming into this game. He is just unbelievable. Hard guy to stop.
42-17 your final. Schaefer 22 of 26, 230 yards, 4 touchdowns. Afterwards, head coach Jared Fredenberg and receiver Jack Smith talked about that no-huddle offense early and how it keyed the Pats to victory.
You know, anytime we have an explosive play, we want to get right back on and you know, kind of keep the defense reeling a little bit. And so we have some predetermined plays that we'll go with when we go in our up-tempo stuff. And we thought it was there, and we kind of had them on their heels. And so when we get them on the heels like that, we just want to keep rolling.
We had a little screen call, and I usually come up and get to the other side of the field, but there was a guy right there, so bounced out back to the outside, and then I turned on the jets and tried to get up the sideline as fast as I could, and I got there.
Other side of the 11 AAA bracket, number 6 Sioux Falls Roosevelt, number 3 Harrisburg. Rough Riders making things tough for themselves, for the Tigers early on. That's Austin Markman with the pick 6 on Dylan Elrod. Roosevelt up 6-zip.
This Harrisburg team has to work on a complete game. They usually have bad starts. Had a bad finish last week, but then they got things going, of course, to their man, Titan Triumph.
He's become one of the best receivers in the state this season. They're up 7-6 after one. Whether it was on the ground or through the air, Harrisburg would keep piling up the points. That's Max Carlson with a touchdown off the Wildcat formation. And
don't
later on, Max Carlson with the arm here.
Exactly. Don't forget about Max Carlson. He is proving he is the most versatile player in this class. And even though he has been a little quieter the last couple weeks, he is a major star.
Titan trying with his second touchdown there, and Harrisburg takes it over Sioux Falls Roosevelt 42-12. Also should note Gavin Ross returning from injury last week. Nice day on the ground, 24 carries, 176 yards.
Yeah, I was wondering if he could take a full load after that 30-plus carry performance against OGorman. Well, he did just that last week.
Our last 11 AAA quarterfinal, number 7 Rapid City Stevens, number 2 OGorman. Maverick Jones, starting running back, did not play in this one for OGorman, but the guy replacing him, Nathan Ratzloff, check this out, bulldozing his way into the end zone.
This is some power, and this is what they need, a guy who can run like that without the Maverick Jones in the backfield. He ran, and also Bennett Dannenbring did a great job running the ball in the night.
Give the Raiders credit, though. They lost by 42 to OGorman earlier this season, but here, Jed Jensen, Beck Morgan, he does the rest. Raiders have a 7-6 lead in the first quarter.
Yeah, this is huge for the Stevens, just the confidence factor to be able to play closer with these elite teams.
That's a beautiful throw from Dannenbring to Peyton Hagee. OGorman retakes the lead 13-7. Second quarter now, Dannenbring to Hagee again. He had 3 catches. 2 of them went for touchdowns.
Yeah, that's exactly what this guy is. A big play receiver. He showed it last year, and he's showing it again this year. They spread the ball around on Thursday night, but Bennett Dannenbring was a star in this game.
Stevens made it close late, but the final as we go to the board is 29-20 OGorman. 4 touchdown passes for Bennett Dannenbring, and the semifinals are set in 11 AAA, and OGorman will have the rematch with Harrisburg next week, just 2 weeks after that game to end the regular season.
Oh, I can't wait. That'll be on Midco Sports, and Bennett Dannenbring with the 100-yard rushing, 200-yard passing game. He might have to pick up that ground game a little bit if Maverick Jones is not able to go.
Tons of interesting storylines in AAA. So let's check in on 11 AA. Number 7 Watertown visiting number 2 T area. First quarter, Maddox Slykehouse eventually options it to Blake Thompson. He lunges for the pylon, gets close.
Oh, that's close.
But doesn't quite get in. Nevertheless, Keegan DeYoung is going to finish off this drive with a short touchdown, 7-0 Titans.
That's the beautiful part about the Titans. You got Thompson, you got DeYoung, you got Van Tol, you got so many guys who can go get the job done. They always stay fresh throughout the game.
Speaking of Van Tol, an angry run that would make Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football proud inside the 10-yard line. And once again, the teammates get the hard yards. Keegan DeYoung gets the touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's fine with any of these guys. They're very selfless.
We've said it before, we'll say it again. 2 reasons we show a kickoff, a touchdown or a turnover. The wind.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
that's a live ball. Go get it. Ethan Viss does get it for T. And the Titans would take advantage with Mr. Van Tol, one of his 3 rushing touchdowns on the night.
Yeah, they just got done playing Watertown last week, exactly 7 days ago, and they improved their margin of victory and get a shutout, 41-0. Chase Van Tol was a monster on the night. Defensively, you can't ask for much more than shutting Juven Hudson down to 30 yards rushing. A huge night for the Titan D.
As you see, 139 yards and 3 scores for Chase Van Tol. Other scores from around 11 AA. Aberdeen Central with a 34-7 win over number 6 Spearfish. Golden Eagle defense had 4 picks. Carson Sarda 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aberdeen Central will face T next week.
Sarda went out of the game late as a precautionary. They kept him out. They're going to need him in a big way if they're going to have any chance to beat T area.
The 5-time defending champs in Pierre had no issues with Sturgis Brown, 42-14. Lincoln Keynotes, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 on the ground. Govs take care of business against the Scoopers.
Yeah, only 5 touchdowns. Crazy.
Only, yeah.
Crazy.
I doubt he played the whole game, but either way, Governors moving on. And the 4-5 matchup featured 6 touchdowns from Yankton quarterback Rugby Riken as the Bucks blast the Bobcats 49-14. So it's going to be Yankton versus Pierre in the other semifinal. Bucks benefiting from some guys coming back from injury.
Exactly. You see Gavin Swanson there, 22 rushes, 134. We haven't seen him that healthy in a long time. A complete team win for Yankton as they prepare to take on Pierre in a rematch.
Let's move now to Class 11A, the 4-5 matchup featuring Sioux Falls Christian hosting Dakota Valley. Early on, Johnny Skyberg following his blockers into the end zone for the early Chargers lead. But the story of this game, Jandy, the Sioux Falls Christian defense.
Yeah, how about this defense? Just getting their hands on it, finding a way to shorten the field with the defensive pressure that they put on them all night long, and Sioux Falls Christian was in a different zone defensively.
That interception off the tip by Max Kari. This interception by Skyberg on Ethan Onema, showing he can play defense as well as offense. Another pick for the Chargers. We've seen him run for a touchdown. We've seen him get an interception. Now Skyberg taking the short screen from Tate and Snyder and taking it deep in the Panther territory.
How about Johnny Skyberg? Good little weapon that Sioux Falls Christian has. They've got a lot of weapons, though. And another guy they have as a weapon is their tight end, James Woodward.
In fact, off play action, Snyder rolling out. We'll find Mr. Woodward for the score. 17-0 Chargers. Then, watch this. It's 4th down. A fake punt, almost an extreme shotgun, and it's Woodward again past midfield.
What a weapon. They're pulling out all the stops at playoff time. You empty the playbook and make it work. Huge play, huge momentum boost for the Chargers.
And they would finish off that drive a bit later. Tate and Snyder to Cole Snyder. 24-0 at that point. And 41-14 is your final score. 5 total interceptions for the Charger defense, and they've been playing really well for the last month, Jandy.
They really have, and they kind of started this spark of their season when they played Dakota Valley, just over a month ago, and now they are cruising. They're going to give Del Rapids all they can handle next week.
And speaking of Del Rapids, as we get a look at their score against Lennox, no problem with the Orioles, 41-7 the final. It was only 14-0 at halftime. Mason Stubbe, Braden Pankonen had 2 touchdowns each for the Couriers.
Yeah, this Couriers defense put the smackdown on this passing team from Lennox, holding them in check. That's what they're going to have to do against Sioux Falls Christian next week.
More 11A action. Number 6 Canton at number 3 Beersford. And the Watchdogs had their eyes on the prize from the get-go. Jackson Tadlock gets a piece of that Canton punt. That sets up good field position. In fact, very next play, Tate Van Otterloo. Jack Stennon, he does the rest. 57 yards, 6-0 Beersford.
Otterloo didn't throw a ton of passes, but when he did, they were huge plays in the game.
This isn't deja vu, it's only Otterloo. Play action, Jack Stennon, wide open, another touchdown, 12-0 Watchdogs.
Well, that was the difference. They were not able to do that the last time they played Canton. This time, they opened it up a little bit.
Seahawks got on the board late in the first half. Matt Anderson, 2-point conversion, good. So it's 12-8 at the break. But in the third quarter, Beersford would clamp down on defense. Then they would do enough on offense. Stennon will run it down the left sideline. His 3rd touchdown of the game, 18-8 at that point. And the Watchdogs take this one at 24-8 over the Seahawks from Canton. More than 200 all-purpose yards from Jack Stennon.
Yeah, that's a huge day for him. Friedrich has done a lot of their offensive load. Nice to see that a guy like Jack Stennon can come in and really lighten the load for everyone.
And Beersford will be heading to Hartford to take on West Central. The Trojans top the Bulldogs from Madison in the 2-7 matchup, 35-6. 3 touchdowns for Justin Zerpel as West Central moves on.
And again, they played earlier this year. It was a much closer game. It's good to see West Central improving as the year goes on.
On down we go. Class 11B, number 7 Hot Springs, number 2 Aberdeen Roncalli. Start in the second quarter. Still no score, but Landon Iverson finds a lane, weaves between Cav defenders, and finds the end zone.
I was here watching the game. I didn't know if anybody would score. The defenses came out on fire, but Landon Iverson broke things open. And then in the second half, Preston Iverson got it going. And then all of a sudden, Roncalli could not stop either one of them.
52-yard run from Preston Iverson to get into Roncalli territory, and he finishes off the drive here with a short touchdown. Visitors on top 14-0 in the third. And the Bison would continue to run it and run it and run it some more. Cameron Majeski, he's going to follow his blockers, show a little strength, and get inside the 10-yard line. They were just wearing down that Cav defense.
This was a proud Cav defense. They'd given up single digits almost every game this year, and Hot Springs just wore them down by the fourth quarter.
That set up another score, so it's 21-0 here. Cavs finally hit on a big pass play to Andrew Brennan. Great catch from Isaacson. But as the drive continues into the fourth, Jackson Isaacson intercepted by Iverson in the end zone. Landon Iverson's going to add another touchdown. That puts the exclamation point on a big upset.
Yeah, and Roncalli had a ton of chances downfield like that. They converted 2 big plays, but they were so close on so many other plays, but couldn't get the passing going. Meanwhile, Hot Springs dominated on the ground, and after the game, I was able to catch up with Ben Kramer and Landon Iverson.
We'll come across the state and, hopefully we put Hot Springs on the map here a little bit. Super proud of these guys, obviously. They're just playing with so much confidence right now. I think I saw the score, Elk .1, so, that's what we got to prepare for. I think I talked to someone earlier, and you're never going to see one guy attacking the ball. We get 11 guys to the ball, and we put an emphasis on there. And my defensive coaches, Jersa, Klippenstein, Rickenbach, those guys do such an excellent job with game planning that I'm glad we don't play our defense.
Yeah, it feels amazing. We came in with full confidence, and the drive up, everybody thinks it's a disadvantage, but for us it was not, and we kicked ass today.
Such a throwback victory. You shot that in 4-3 apparently.
Exactly.
Jason Andera. More 9-man playoff action. Well, moving to 9-man playoff action. Number 8 Bonham, number 1 Wall. Opening quarter in that ball game, and the Eagles are on the move. Burke Blasius, the short pass to Cedar Amiot. Check out the moves by Amiot to get inside the 10-yard line, and he would finish off the drive here on the pitch to make it 7-0 Wall.
Yeah, Cedar Amiot hasn't had to carry the ball much this year because they haven't played many close games, but he is a workhorse.
Give credit to Bonham, who hung tough all night. Riley Rothschadel takes it 25 yards into Wall territory, staying on his feet, muscling for some extra yardage. That sets up this pass. Rothschadel to Chapin Cooper. Cavs went for 2, did not get it, so they still trail 7-6.
Rothschadel just keeps you in the game because this is a guy who can do a little bit of everything, and he did, but Wall has too much firepower.
Strand Williams with the touchdown there. 13-6 Eagles at that point. Bonham had a chance to tie it just before the half. Isaac Crownover showing his power. He's going to get it inside the 10-yard line, and then Rothschadel. He's going to try and get in, but he's stopped just before the half, 1 yard short. Tough break there. He's going to try and make up for it, though, in the second half. He's going to get the pick on Blasius here, taking it back the other way, and then defense translates into offense. He's going to keep it himself on the short touchdown. Once again, however, the Cavs missed the 2-pointer. They're still down 13-12, and Wall would have just enough to eke this one out. Amiot gets this 15-yard touchdown. 20-12 Wall, a team that had scored at least 48 points in every game this season and had won each game by at least 35 points, plays their first one-possession game of the year.
They had a lot of opportunities in the red zone, and that's something Lex Heathershaw talked about with us after the game, is maybe we got to do a little bit better at that. But Bonham had a chance at the end of the game. Let's hear from Lex Heathershaw.
Yeah, Bonham's a heck of a team. Like I had told some other people, Coach Pudwill, man, he's been coaching for a long time, and we knew that he was going to have his team ready, and he's got a lot of experience in the playoffs, so hats off to them, heck of a game. Red zone efficiency has to be better, but overall just proud of our guys for responding to that adversity and getting the win.
9AA, Hanson at Hamlin, a wild game in 9AA. And we're going to start early on in this one, just a back-and-forth affair all day. That's a fumble by Hamlin, and Hanson recovers. Sutton DeWall jumps on it. It's no score after one quarter. Hanson on a 4th and 17. Jay Slaba goes up to Ethan Cheeseman for the touchdown. That made it 6-0 Beavers. But Hamlin, they're going to come right back. There are a lot of highlights in this one. Bit of a blown coverage here. Evan Stormo is wide open. Tyson Stevenson hits him.
A bit, Evan Stormo. A huge catch right there. And mistakes like that in a close game might come back to bite you, Hanson.
7-6 lead for the Chargers at the half. Early third, give to Stormo. He is in. Hamlin goes up 14-6. Now we move to the fourth quarter. Hanson, the halfback pass. Hadley Wallace goes up somehow. Brings it down. And then a little bit later in the drive, Jackson Jarding. He's going to get a block, and he will do the rest.
Jackson Jarding, one of the guys in that backfield. They've got 3 guys who can go off for a 100-yard game at any point, but he really fueled them late in this game.
14-all with 8 minutes left. Hamlin driving. Stormo, the catch, the run. Cuts it back across field. He's going to get tripped up in the red zone eventually. And then 4 minutes to go. Stevenson keeps it. And you can see even at the bottom of the pile, he's over, but it takes the officials a bit of time to actually rule him in. They finally do, 20-14 with about 4 minutes to go. Then, less than a minute to play. Riley Haynes gets behind his defender. Slava puts it on him. Beavers tie the game at 20-20 with 51 seconds left. They go for 2. This is tough. Is
For the
he
win!
in? Ooh, that's close. They say he's short. Hard to tell where the ball is at that angle.
Yeah.
So we go to overtime, tied at 20. Hanson scored a touchdown, got wiped away from a penalty on 4th down. Just a bit too far for Cheeseman. And so Hamlin has an opportunity here to take it on their possession in overtime. Luke Frazier in it to win it. 26-20 Hamlin in a wild one.
Man, you had to hold your breath 4 times just during those last few plays. It was just as good as advertised. We knew this was going to be a close game. Hanson made a few mistakes. Hamlin made a few mistakes, but it was the Chargers that capitalized at the right time.
And let's hear from Jeff Sheehan afterwards.
We composed ourselves, and they played the game the way they needed to. The defense got the stop they needed, and the offense came out. And you just run a base power play, get 10 yards. That was an emotional one for us because that's what we like to do.
I don't know. We just kept pushing the ball. Had some big plays. They messed up a coverage. We ran off him. I don't know. Just really excited right now. Oh, they were good, but we kept working and we beat them at the end.
Catch your breath, Evan Stormo. You got a big game next week. 6-3 matchup in 9AA. Parkston against Howard early on. Tigers keeping on the ground. Griffin Club with the inside handoff into the end zone. 7-0. Then Howard tries an onside kick. It doesn't work. Jaron Neshon takes it 47 yards to the house to tie things at 7.
Really, that was the momentum in this game, is that mistake, whether that really damaged Howard's confidence or whether it propelled Parkston, I'm not sure. But the Trojans took it from there. Look at this dive.
Braden Jervik flying through the air, crossing the plane. That touchdown gave the Trojans the lead, and they would never look back. Defense, they came up huge as well. Taden Hoyer is sacked. Parkston's going to end up recovering the fumble. And then Luke Borman, who's been a stud at running back all season long, will get a rushing touchdown here, one of his 2 on the evening. And as you said, Jandy, that onside kick returned for a touchdown gave Parkston the momentum. Howard didn't score after that as we get a look at the final, 34-7. The 3-seed Howard goes down. 5 takeaways for the Trojans.
Yeah, and 4 of those were fumbles. Howard losing the ball that many times on fumbles, just could not get back into that game because of the mistakes that they made.
Another crazy 9-man game featured Canistota and Warner in 9A. This is an 8-1 matchup early on. Tage Ortman, 50-yard touchdown run. They've got so many versatile weapons.
You know, and for them to come out with Tage Ortman and Noah Kleinsasser and just dominate on the ground, they got off to a great start in this one. Warner really had no answer in the first half with the way they were moving it on the ground.
You mentioned Ortman, and you also mentioned this guy, Noah Kleinsasser. 64 yards to the house. 16-0 Canistota at that point. They're up 31-14 at halftime, but then the script flipped.
Yeah, you could just tell the momentum switched in this game, and part of it right out of halftime, the double pass.
Downfield, Zach Wood gets the deflection and makes the amazing catch later in that drive. It's going to be Hunter Kramer with the touchdown. 31-21, the lead is down to 10.
Really, the game felt like it was over, and Warner just breathed new life into it on that drive. And then from that point, their defense kept giving them the ball in great field position, and then they would attack. They had 2 different quarterbacks. Both of them could throw the ball. That one was thrown by Hunter Kramer.
That cut it to 31-28. They're leading now 35-31. Kramer on the keeper. As you mentioned, the defense translated back into offense. 41-31 now, Warner with the lead.
They just had the field position. They maybe played the perfect defensive half in this game. Nowhere to go. We're sacking them on defense. We're putting pressure on Tage Ortman. The cornerbacks were doing their jobs, and a big pick right here to seal it.
Logan Perman with the interception, and after trailing 31-14 at the half, Warner comes back. They shut out Canistota in the second half, 48-31 for no 9-versus-1 upset.
It was an unbelievable atmosphere watching Warner do that on their home field, and got a chance to talk with Hunter Kramer and Kerwin Hayline after the game.
Felt good. We were down early, but we just chipped at it and we came back. Feels great. Feels great. We made a lot of adjustments on defense, and we stopped the run and everything because they didn't score after the second half, I believe, but we made a lot of good defensive adjustments to stop them.
It was so loud tonight, you know, being in an indoor-outdoor stadium like this. it was hard for us to communicate with our kids at times. And, you know, you don't ever want your fans to be in it like they were. And you know, it is a great atmosphere here. We love playing at home. You know, our new turf. I thought tonight, total team effort tonight out of our kids. I was really proud of them. We got down early, didn't look real good, and they stayed in and battled, and I was real proud of them.
Warner moving on to the semifinals. We finish with 9B. Avon at Harriet Selby area Wolverines, the favorites in 9B, and they would show why. 7-0 in the first quarter. Brendan Begeman, he's pretty good, isn't he, Jason?
I love the way that they're mixing up the playbook, though, and they're getting it to him on passes. And look what he does. He just makes people look silly. That's the difference. Nobody else in this class has Brendan Begeman.
14-0. They would force a punt on the next series. Begeman breaking loose once again. Long touchdown run. Wolverines up 22-0.
Yeah, and this was important for them to get off to a good start because this Avon team, they can take some clock, they can score some points, but for them to get up early was a key.
Avon would try to put the drive together, but ends in disaster when Brady Bierma fumbles. Harriet Selby area, I'm getting my H's mixed up. They recover, then Trey Heddick going to work on the following series. He says, hey, Brendan, I can run too.
Yeah, I love when they put stuff like this on tape because it just shows another dimension to their offense, and they have more than just Brendan Begeman. Trust me, they got a lot of guys who can make things happen. Mason
Vetter with the touchdown here, the cap off the drive. 30-0 at that point, and Harriet Selby area takes this one 44-14. Just your casual 220-yard performance from Mr. Begeman.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy, this is what we're getting used to is, 250-yard performances from him, and he's staying on pace, at least making it in the conversation of maybe being the single-season all-time leader in rushing yardage.
Well, you had that story on him. He needs a couple more games and some big performances to do it. He is certainly on his way as they will face Irene Wakanda in the semifinals next week. But a big day in South Dakota on Thursday, a bigger day in North Dakota here this evening. When we come back, Jody Norstead will have highlights from a wild North Dakota playoff Friday. You're watching Varsity Sports Live.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
And welcome back to VSL. David Brown, Jason Andera. Let's head up to West Fargo and Jody Norstead. And boy, in a year, and thank you, by the way, I forgot to get the orange memo,
Twinsies.
so my apologies on that one. I tried to match with the orange tie, but nevertheless, the theme all year in AA was no one wanted to be number one because they ended up losing the next week. And unfortunately for West Fargo Cheyenne as number one, they chose to lose in the wrong week.
Yeah, there won't be a next week for the Mustangs. Just a shocker tonight, guys. Cheyenne hosting Century, and that was one thing. I knew that this would be a tricky matchup just because Cheyenne's bread and butter, running the football. Century, really good at stopping the run, and they obviously did that tonight, and they turned over the Mustangs a lot in this one. That's kind of what it took, the recipe for disaster for Cheyenne. Century pulls off an absolute stunner. Before we get to that one, we get to our televised game tonight. Minot at Shanley, the 6 versus 3 matchup in 11 AA. Playing for the first time against each other since 2008, and it's win or go home. How about that? Opposite strengths for these two. Deacons thrive on a fast-paced, high-scoring offense. Minot with their stout defense, but you see early what was clicking. Shanley's big play offense, 59 yards. Michael Rosberg to Vachiri Hakim, 25th touchdown pass of the season for Rosberg. And then it's Rosberg to Vachiri Hakim, makes it 21-0. Hakim again into the end zone. And then the Magi strike in the third. A great punt, pins Shanley deep. DJ Jones delivers a strip sack on Rosberg. Landon Bedell recovers, and the lead is cut to 14 at the break. And Minot with a little bit of momentum, but third quarter, Deacons strike on their first drive. Rosberg to a quick out to Connor Kraft. He had 3 touchdowns last week, puts the Deacons in front 28-7. After an interception on the ensuing Minot drive, Caden Chrisman spins his way in and scores. Makes it 35-7. Rosberg throwing touchdowns to everybody. Then a 21-point third quarter ends with this punishing run from Adam Leininger, 41 yards. No one wanted a piece of him, and Shanley puts this one on ice tonight. Here's a late touchdown run by Camden Backman for Minot to get their first offensive touchdown, but this one was all Deacons. 42-14 the final. Rossburg with 384 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 5th coming on the ground, and the Deacons roll to a victory in the quarterfinal round and onto the semis for a 2nd straight year.
Yeah, it kind of all starts in practice. Like, our tempo in practice is crazy. So then once we come on the field, then it's just real. It slows it down, and we just execute. That's all we got to do.
If you want to be a championship level team, you got to be balanced, and we got to be able to run the ball, especially complementary to what we do in the passing game. I thought Adam did a great job providing that, and I really thought our O-line played really well. Early on, the protection got to us, but they really did an excellent job once we made some adjustments, and Michael didn't really have any pressure from there on out.
I think it's really important. Everyone's our last Mandan game. Everyone wasn't proud of how they played, and we get our revenge now soon. So hopefully that's the goal.
Well, spoiler alert, I guess, for these next highlights then. Mandan hosting its first postseason game since 2001 when they lost to St. Mary's in the play-in round. Braves taking on a banged-up West Fargo team, and they score on their 2nd play from scrimmage. A wise man once said, hand it to Lincoln Wiseman. Over 1,000 yards rushing on the season. That one was a 64-yarder. Later in the first, another home run play. Max Carlson, a pass to Carson Jablonski, and he beats Peyton McGregor, the speedster from West Fargo, 85 yards. Mandan up 20-0. Braves led 27-9 at the half. First play of the second half, Packers trying to work around the edge. Wyatt Peel pokes the ball out, though, and check out the awareness to keep it from going out of bounds. West Fargo gets the ball back, and they score their first points of the night. Brady Medina swings it to Keaton McGregor. McGregor into the end zone, makes it 27-6. Braves facing a 4th and long now on their next possession. What looked like a blown-up play turns into a huge first down. Watch Jablonski with the stiff arm on the 4th down, gets it. And then a couple plays later, Jablonski again. Remember the year that he had last year and the year he had this year. Boy, he can score from anywhere on the field. Spins around a defender, stiff arm, carrying a couple of Packers, and he's in for 6 more. Braves win it 34-18. So Mandan is on to the semifinals for a playoff rematch from last year when Shanley and Mandan met in the quarterfinals. They will get to see each other again. Remember, Mandan won the regular season meeting just a couple weeks ago by about a touchdown. Here's the matchup we were just talking about. Century started the year 0-5, snuck into the playoffs by winning 3 of its last 4. Cheyenne, the defending state champs, hoping to keep that same formula of running the ball and strong defense. But here comes the Patriots defense, setting the tone early, controlling the Mustang run game. Following a turnover deep in Cheyenne territory, Cayenne Barth hits William Ware for a 6-yard score. It's 7-zip. Mustangs also stingy against the run as Nick Renner hammers the running back down. If the run isn't working, maybe try going to the air. Here, Barth hooks up with Ryan Brynjolfsson. 56 yards on this connection. The Pats go up 14-0 at the half. On the first possession in the second, Barth is going to go to the air again, this time finding Peyton Arndt. 38 yards for the score. Arndt out of the backfield. Sneaky. Century smelling upset, up 20-0. Cheyenne starts to show some life in the second half here. Caleb Deere to Aiden Canotto over the middle. Going to find some yardage here as he beats the defense. That's a 20-yard gain, and then Caden Rahr is going to cap off the drive. Showing a little bit of power up the middle, getting in for 2 yards for the score. Grant Canotto here. His dad is shooting the game for us. His dad shoots all these games for us, so we had to make sure Grant got on the highlights. He gets the 2-point conversion. It's 20-8. Marcus Johnson then, continuing the wave of momentum for the Mustangs, gets a big turnover with the interception, but Ryan Brynjolfsson returns the favor. So many turnovers for Cheyenne tonight. It really shot themselves in the foot. And then Barth plunges in from 2 yards out to make it 27-8. The 8 seed beats the 1 seed. Century with a huge upset over Cheyenne. And the Patriots have been rolling lately, and now they will advance to the semifinal round once again.
We've been trying to hit our shots all season, and it just came together tonight. The line was blocking really good, so it gave Kyan time, and he just found me and other people too.
Well, I tell you, it's any coach will say it's not how you start, it's how you end. And this is a long season. We're into our 14th week, but you're certainly correct. We didn't start the way we wanted to, and there was some frustration. But I thought our kids just kind of hung in there. We persevered, and we got better and better as the season went on. And I think there was some personnel adjustments, and our offensive and defensive lines are starting to play a lot better.
Man, from 0-5 to still alive in the semis. Well, how about this? Davies, remember them? They went 6-3 last year and missed the playoffs. And then last week, they lost at home, an opportunity to host this game. Legacy beat them, and then Legacy got to host Davies. Here, rough start. They fumble it, turnover. But after forcing a 3-and-out, Davies marching down the field. First big spark play, Oliver Luck goes right up the middle, and he has eyes for the end zone. They go 7. They get it back, and on the first play of the second, they go back to number 3. Lucky number 3 tonight. Lucky number 3. This time it's off the option. He gets in. They go up 15, and then just minutes before the half, this is one of the tougher runs for Luck. It's on a 4th and 2, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, just like Chris Berman used to say, and he's in for 6 more. Oliver Luck, it was that kind of night for Davies. They win 35-7 and get a little bit of revenge from last week losing on their home turf. And with this win and with Century's win, all of a sudden Davies does get to host a playoff game. They'll be at home next week against the Patriots with a shot to go to the Dakota Bowl on the line. Oliver Luck, 3 rushing touchdowns. Mason Claybo with a passing touchdown. Let's go to 11A now. And we know that 11AA is set. The top seeded Bruins from Fargo South fired up to kick off the postseason, hosting Dickinson. And what a start after recovering an onside kick. To start the game, Brevin Work to George Hannesgaard. A couple of great moves, and he's off to the races. 46 yards for the score and a 7-0 South lead. To the second quarter, after a 4th down stop, the Bruins march down the field again. Work rolling. He hits an open Reese Kessel on the crossing route. Gets in. Plows over his own man, 11 yards on the score. It's 14-0. Dickinson responds on the second play of its next drive. Steven Zawadny pumps, rolls to his left, and he's going to fire to Caden Krieg over the middle. He's going to bounce off some tacklers. Look at that. Got to make sure you're wrapping up, fellas. Yeah, we're here to teach some lessons, too. 64 yards on the touchdown at the end of it. That cuts it to a 1-score game at 14-6. So another 8-1 with a little bit of trouble, right? Well, after a stop, Midgets get the ball back, start to drive again, but Christian Bowden gets a pop from Emmanuel Spy. Ball is loose. Abu Trawali recovers it for South late in the first half. And the Bruins able to cash in off the turnover. Work rolling out of the pocket, and he's throwing, this time connecting with Colby Nissen, the former starting quarterback, now catching touchdowns. 14 yards on the scoring play, 21-6 South at the half, and the Bruins roll to the 38-12 victory, and South is off to the semifinals. Now improving to 7-3, and now you see who they're going to be playing, Fargo North next week. Let's take a look at those highlights. North on the road at Valley City tonight. Remember how good Valley City was cooking, and then they kind of stubbed their toe late in the year? Well, North kind of did that too, kind of stubbed their toe a little bit. Here's Peter Haugo getting in, though, for a 7-0 lead. Highliners trying to respond. On a 4th and 6, Bryson Heck steps back, launches one to Aiden Jacobson for the score, and it's tied up at 7. We head to the second quarter now. After a Spartan field goal, Heck gonna fake the handoff, and he looks downfield, and what the heck, bombs away to Gavin Gerhardt. Boy, hits him in stride, 55 yards on the touchdown. I always love how they have the fire department out there, the ambulance crews out there. They get the field goal here, giving Valley City the 14-10 lead with the extra point. This one goes back and forth in the second half. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. The Spartans end up going out to Highliner Country and picking up a road playoff win, 30-28. Peter Haugo with 3 touchdown runs in the second half. Remember, he had a game ball earlier this year. That gives him 4 touchdowns on the night, and they set up a matchup with Fargo South at the Bruins coming up for a trip to the Dakota Bowl on the line. So big win for North tonight. Well, a lot of action to start this matchup between Central and Jamestown. Dylan Lamont, remember, he had the game ball a couple of weeks ago. Takes a snap and hits Jack Simmers for the 6th receiving touchdown of the year for Simmers. 7-0 Central leads it over the number 2 seed. Not even a minute later, Jamestown gets into the red zone. Aiden Braun takes the handoff 10 yards, and he's in. 2-pointer good. Jamestown in front 8-7. Later in the first now, 4th and goal, Peyton Hochhalter. What a year he's had. This time he's going to score on the ground instead of using his arm. Makes it 15-7 Jamestown. And then still in the first, on a 3rd and 10 from Central's 19-yard line, Hochhalter, who has probably around 25, 26 passing touchdowns, going to air it out for Braun, his 2nd TD of the night. Going to work his way in there. 22-7 Blue Jays after the first quarter, and Jamestown runs away with this one, flies away with it, you could say. They win at 49-20. Central, a very good year, showed a lot of improvements, but they finished the season 4-6. Red River hosting a playoff game as the 3 seed taking on Wahpeton. Rough Riders trying to advance to the semifinal round of the postseason for the first time in over 3 decades. Pierce Parks, well, he's been really good this year at the QB spot. The sophomore has the speed to keep defenses honest, and he's going to scramble here for a big first down early in the game. Later in the drive, they insert Gunnar Heichert, their quarterback from last year, and he sneaks in for a 7-0 lead. Rough Riders marching in the red zone again. Parks coming back in at quarterback in front of that big crowd out there at Cushman. Floats a pass to Logan Arison. Logan, can you get one? Boom, right over the fingertips of the defender, makes it 14-0. Wahpeton desperately in search of some offense here. Bo Arnstein going to get it to Caden Kappas. Kappas came in as the preseason player of the year in this class, and he is an incredible athlete. It's just been a tough year for the Huskies after how explosive their offense was a year ago. They get on the doorstep, 4th and goal from the 4. Arnstein denied. Nolan Pieper and company on the stop for the Riders. Under 4 to play now in the first half. Park showing his dance moves out there on the turf. Boy, he is an incredible athlete. And he's just gotten more comfortable throughout the year as well, and that leads to this. Park's going to follow some great blockers. Watch Brett Feller, number 14, leading the way, looking for a body. As smooth as silk, Parks is into the end zone. 40-7, Red River wins it tonight. They will play at Jamestown. Red River in the semifinal round for the first time since 1991. So your semifinals are set. In 11AA, Century at Davies and Shanley at Mandan. Remember, Shanley and Century, the only holdovers from last year, both in the semifinals last year, but they both lost in the semifinal rounds last year. And then North at South, Red River at Jamestown. Some great matchups coming your way next week. North and Jamestown back in the semifinals for the 2nd straight year. By the way, North at South, that's their first postseason meeting since 2000, a semifinal win for Fargo North, 24-23. There's your history lesson of the day. When we come back, we preview tomorrow's action in 11B and 9B. The playoffs in full tilt there as we got the quarterfinal action coming your way. Brad Anderson, Chase Miller join us next.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University. Time now for Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics.
We are back for the highest rated portion of our show, thanks to these two fine gentlemen. Brad Anderson from 740 The Fan, Chase Miller of Your Live Event join us for our postseason tradition of previewing Saturday's slate of 11B and 9B playoff games. You see some of the helmets of the teams that are still alive. We have reached the quarterfinal round. In 11B, the top 4 seeds all advance, while a couple of road teams won last week too. Those being Central Cass, who knocked off Bottineau, and Shiloh Christian, who lit up Des Lacs Burlington behind a big game from quarterback Joey Desir. The Skyhawks now get the rematch with Beulah. The Miners won the regular season game 50-36. Running back Mason Melmer, a load for that Miners team. But Brad, as you look at that Kindred Central Cass matchup, the Vikings won the regular season game 28-0. It probably wasn't as lopsided as the score indicated, but what did the Squirrels have to do this time around to come out with a win?
Well, got to score. They haven't they've been shut out the last 2 times, but I think they really got to make. They had a nice drive in that first series against Kindred, and then a couple drop passes. They had a field goal blocked, and I mean you don't have much margin for error against a team of Kindred's caliber. So I think you've got to. And one thing I think they feel they can throw the ball on Kindred a little bit too. So I think you got to get Lamar involved. You got to get your receivers involved right away, and you got a healthy Wiersma too. Wiersma got banged up in that game first time around. So I think they got to feel like they're coming in with fully loaded for the game against the Vikings.
Yeah, we'll see if Trey Heinrich and that Vikings team can keep things rolling. They have won 5 straight in this series, by the way. Chase, Hillsborough, Central Valley, and Oaks advanced in 2 very unique ways. The Burros had to grind one out, 14-8 over Lisbon, and Oaks was down 15-zip at the half to Thompson. Then they rattle off 34 unanswered to win. Who do you trust more in this matchup?
I tell you what, midway through the season, I saw Oaks defeat Oak Grove at West Fargo High School, and I was like, these guys are for real. Immediately, they were in my top 5 poll the very next week, and I kept them right around there. So I almost want to say Oaks, but the one thing I looked at Hillsborough Central Valley, they've made the semifinals, Jody, every year since 2015, and during that time, 70 wins, to 10 losses. So history would say trust HCV. The only loss for Oaks this season, though, is the top-ranked Kindred.
And defense is so important this time of year, too. Hillsborough Central Valley, they haven't allowed more than 1 touchdown in a game since September 16th now. The other quarterfinal is Velvet Trinity, which is full of playmakers. We'll have a camera there and bring you a full recap from that one on Monday. To 9B, Lemoore Litchfield Marion gets Surrey, who surprised some folks maybe by winning at St. John. Tate Mart had a big game for the Lobos in that win over Maple River with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Cavalier Mayport CG, though, probably the best matchup on paper in 9B this week. What are the keys in this one, Brad? We'll start with you.
Boy, they were so good against Wymer Lidgerwood. 3rd down, 4th down. Wymer just could not get them off the field. And I think if they can do that first drive they established it, I think they got 3 third downs and a 4th down conversion. And if you can do that and maybe win the battle of time of possession early on, as much as you can have time of possession battles in 9-man football. But, and he established Carlson, too. Zeiler was really impressive on both sides of the football against the Warbirds.
And big picture for me, Jody, Cavalier trying to make it to the Dakota Bowl for 4 straight times on the opposite side last year for Mayport CG being a 9-man. So this would be a big feather in the cap for Adam Sola and that team to try to get over the hump. That's kind of been that second round quarterfinals in the last handful of years to try to make the semis. And if they can do so, it'd be an awfully big time win. When the brackets came out, that was one I circled immediately going, if these 2 teams play head to head, it should be a lot of fun in person up in Cavalier.
Keep in mind, Patriots a little bit banged up. They lost Ethan Bergstrom, but, like Brad mentioned, Zeiler Carlson looked great last week, 4 touchdowns. Landon Carter had a monster game for Cavalier, had 200 yards receiving in that one. The 2-seed New Salem Almont has been absolutely crushing teams lately, but their next opponent, Grant County Flasher, knows them really well. The Storm have improved a lot since losing to the Holsteins. That was back in August. This game might be closer than some people expect. What do you think?
The one thing I take a look at New Salem Almont, they've never finished, I was going back through going, have they ever finished a perfect season and won a championship? And they haven't. They've been so close. So this is another hurdle to get to that point. And sometimes it's not how you play a team, it's when you play them. And I remember you mentioning last week when they played South Border, they're getting healthier, the Storm. They're getting a little bit healthy. So if New Salem Alma can do what they've done all season, get to this point, they'll probably be fine. But again, you're going against a team that maybe knows your secrets a little bit, and I don't think the weather's going to play too much of a factor coming up this weekend across the state.
I had one more thing for you, Chase. You were correct in saying last week the Divide County and West Hope game would be insane. The Sioux won 70-66. Sophomore quarterback Walker Broughton won our game ball with an 8-touchdown performance. They'll need to score a lot this week, too, to hang on with the North Prairie team, who averages 49 points per game. A dark horse team in this 9-man bracket, Brad, that you feel can kind of emerge. Is North Prairie one of those teams that's just really under the radar? We don't know a lot about it.
I think very much so. I mean, they've kind of made some runs. I know I got some, I think it was 19 when they lost to Finley Sharon Hope Page, and they were kind of one of those teams, like Chase said, with Mayport. They've kind of crawled their way up a little, up to this round, and, and they got that 3 seed, and that dropped Cavalier to 4. I think that maybe opened some eyes, maybe some people scratching their heads a little bit. They'll maybe get a chance to prove it.
All right, it should be a lot of fun, Brad. Guys, thanks for coming on. As always, we'll do it all over again next week for the semifinal round. Until then, enjoy the playoff action tomorrow, everyone.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Great quarterfinal action. Let's preview the semifinals coming up next week in South Dakota. We start in 11 AAA. Big matchups. Jefferson versus Lincoln. Harrisburg versus OGorman. Lincoln, I think, has the offensive firepower to at least keep up with Jefferson.
They've played it as close as anybody this year, but the rematch between Harrisburg and OGorman, that's going to be fantastic.
And that'll be on Midco Sports next Friday at 6 p.m. in AA. Pretty much chalk as you'd expect. Pierre and Yankton, T and Aberdeen Central.
Yankton's playing better, but I don't expect either of those games to be close. We're going to see Pierre and T in Vermilion.
Or as I called it a couple weeks ago, the P matchup between Pierre and T. 11A, Del Rapids and West Central facing Beersford and Sioux Falls Christian, respectively.
The most unpredictable bracket. We could see both road teams. We could see neither road team. Anything could happen here.
In 11B, Winner keeps on winning. They host McCook Central Montrose, and Hot Springs with the upset. Can they do it again against Elk Point Jefferson?
Great stories here, but Winner and Elk Point Jefferson are on another level.
9AA. Wall against Hamlin. Hamlin with the big OT win. Elkton Lake Benton hosting Parkston.
This is another one where anything could happen. It wouldn't surprise me.
In 9A, Warner against Harding County Bison, Lyman and Gregory.
Yeah, Warner's really good, but that other game, who knows?
And in 9B, Harriet Selby against Irene Wakanda, Hitchcock Tulare against DeSmit.
We're going to see Hitchcock Tulare and Harriet Selby area.
It's going to be chalk. Thanks for watching. We will see you next week for Semifinal Friday. Good night.